Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fund Your STEM program Made Easy. I'm Kristen Knorr with the North Dakota After School Network, and this session will explore how to raise funds for your STEM programs. We're going to learn together how to invite businesses to be a partner and take a funder from dating to marriage. Our session today will be led by Connie Duncan, who is the VP of Philanthropy with Nebraska Children and Families Foundation. And with that, I'll turn it over to Connie. Welcome, Connie.
Thank you. Wonderful to see some of you on the screen. I'm going to go through some slides and we'll see what everyone thinks. And at the end, we'll have some time for question and answers. Just to give you a touch of a background, I used to work many years ago for the Boys and Girls Club of America, and I did a lot of fundraising for them. So I'm very familiar with after school programs and what we're looking for. So as I said, my name is Connie Duncan. And so I guess what I want to do first is I want us to decide in our minds, what do we need to fund? What are we looking at funding? And are you looking to fund just a very specific STEM program in your after-school program, or are you looking to fund your entire after-school program? So let's back up and say, okay, we've decided we're just going to fund a very specific program. Here's what I suggest in order to fund a very specific program. Drive around your city, make a list of all the local STEM businesses in your community. And then after you have that list, identify ways to get STEM businesses involved. So how do you get these businesses involved? And it is so important to have community input and community businesses involved. So is there anywhere in the curriculum that you could involve businesses? So think about, is there an engineering or robotics club that employees could volunteer? Is there a place where a business employee, they could speak about their career and identify their educational journey? Sometimes I've noticed if we have an employee come and speak to an after-school program about, let's just give an example, aviation. They're an A&P mechanic, avionics and power plant mechanic. They're a person of diversity. They get up there and they speak about their journey. This is what I did in high school. These are the classes I did. This is where I went to school for my associate's degree. These are the classes I took. This is what I did for an internship. And this is how my journey looked. And look, now I am working in the aviation field. Sometimes a lot of our students see that and they think, I can picture myself being that person. So then also you might want to look at, what is the benefit of having businesses volunteer? I love having businesses volunteer. As a relationship builder, the business gets to know you and your programs. And later on, it's so much easier to make a financial ask to a business that knows you. Plus, it's a great story. So I'll give you an example, Coca-Cola. Wonder if Coca-Cola decides, I think I want to come in and make sundaes, or I want to make Coca-Cola floats with all the students. Great picture opportunity to take a bunch of pictures, see the employee talking to the students, getting involved in the programs. It's a great story then to share later with others. So let's go ahead and look at if you have to fundraise your entire after-school program. That's a little bigger. Say you've gotten much bigger and you're thinking to yourself, wow, I need operations money. I don't just need money for a specific program. I need money to keep the lights on, to pay the bills. I need it maybe for new construction. So this is a much larger ask. So how do you do this? So here's how I suggest you raise funds. One of the things that really helps is to get a case statement brochure started. So that's kind of like an infograph. Many of you might know about Canva. Easiest thing in the world to use. I highly suggest you use it. And you can make a case statement brochure out of that. What you're going to include is you're going to include the data about your community. This is how many students would benefit from having this STEM program. This is how many students currently are not in an after-school program or going home, alone. It has been shown that if 94% of our students attend after-school programs, there's an increase in attendance. Anything you can include about data. You also want to include quotes, pictures, and stories from students and businesses. There's your chance for that Coca-Cola person making the floats. There's also that chance of having the person that came in and talked about their aviation career. You're going to want to include that as well. But then you also have to say, okay, I identified the data, but now I need to say, how am I going to solve the need in my community? I'm going to solve the need by having 30 students able to come to my after school program. They're going to be involved in these programs, and this is what it's going to look like. That's how I'm solving the need in my community. And then you're going to have to also include the cost of the project. The cost of the project could be construction, it could be operations, it could also be how much it costs per student to have your after school program. I like to also include naming opportunities. If you would like to say Connie Duncan Construction Company, be named, have your name above, say, one of our classrooms, this is what it'll cost you. If you would like to be part of Huddle, that does a lot of taping of sports games, would you like to pay for the gym? This is where your name will be above the gym. Things like that. Businesses love naming opportunities. So let's kind of break it apart and let's talk about telling your story. That's the most important thing. Donors love stories. You want to pull at their hearts. How do you tell the most compelling story you can? Will you use data? You use quotes? And you use pictures. You have to use all three because, as many of us know, we all learn differently. So we've got to appeal to all the learning styles that people have. And yes, adults have learning styles as well. So we do have to appeal to that. Something else I like to do if it's a large amount of money you need to raise. Say you do need to raise money to build a program, or you want to get some special equipment for an after-school program, for one of your STEM programs. I like to form a campaign cabinet. And that way we're kind of spreading the love with who's asking whom for money. It's just not the executive director or just one person, but other people in the community are involved. So what I like to do is I like to identify chairs and a cabinet to raise the funds. I look at two people, it could be one, whatever you choose, that are very visible in your community. Could be your mayor. It could be the town banker. It could be a principal, someone that people know in your community. Those are your chairs. They're willing to lend their name to the whole campaign, but they're also willing to make some bigger asks for you. And then the cabinet, I always work with the chairs and say, who do you want? Who do you want on your cabinet? Who do you think knows everyone in the community? Who are friends of yours? You also want to think about the chairs and the cabinet are people that also will be required to make some type of donation that's very meaningful to them. Meaningful meaning if $20 is what's meaningful to them, that's fine. Most of them probably will be in the 500 and up range. So when you get all of this group together, you're going to tell them what the expectations and the time commitment looks like. You're going to provide a list of all the local funders. Remember, we've talked about all of the funders, whether it's business people, but also it could be foundations and other companies. You're going to work together to decide who knows each person best and feels comfortable doing an ask. They've got to have someone they really know. So once you've established who's going to make each ask, you're going to give the cabinet their list of asks and materials to make all of these asks. So the materials, of course, are that brochure, that case statement. And we're going to go through a little bit of this, what I call dating and marriage, in slides 7 through 12. And then this campaign cabinet, you're going to bring them back together, every once in a while to make sure they're making the ask. I always got a kick out of one of our people here in town that does a lot of these. He keeps a little stack by his table, and every day he says, okay, today I'm going to work on the why. I have these 3 people to call. Tomorrow I'm going to work on this one. So it is interesting how people decide how to do these. Okay, so we're going to have this fun begin. So you've decided you're going to raise quite a bit of money to fund your after school program. So you're going to have a kickoff event, introduce the project to the community. You're going to invite the community leaders, the business owners. You're going to have your campaign chairs there, give a short presentation, and you're going to introduce the campaign cabinet. It will start a buzz around town immediately, which is what you want. How do we train the campaign cabinet? How do we train others to make asks like you know how to make asks? So it's all about the relationship. So the next part of these slides that I'm talking about could also be used for those of you that are just trying to fund a specific STEM program. This is really all of my fundraising strategies and how I look at fundraising. So fundraising really is like dating and marriage. If you think of it that way, it's much easier. So how do you do this? You do your homework, you do a first email, you do a coffee time, and you do a thank you. So I'm going to break those apart for you now. So homework. You need to spend some time researching your funders. You can do this by looking at their website, and they're $9.90. A quick Google search will tell you so much about them as well. You also want to find out how much do they give away every year. And then you can also look and see, what would an ask look like for them? Okay, we see on here that in the last 4 years, they've given away $600,000. 90% of it was to the arts. Well, that tells you a little bit about them, right? It tells you what type of ask that you could make. This next part about finding out what they give to, again, is that art situation. If you get on, their website and you see that their mission for their foundation or company strictly says, we only give to the arts. We only give to small dogs and cats. Well, is this going to align with the mission that you have? You have to decide that. And if it doesn't align with your STEM mission, it may not work. I see I have a couple chats up there. I have not looked. If you don't mind, I'm going to wait till the end unless Kristen interrupts me, and we'll go through all the questions. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to find out who is on their board. Do you know any of them? So we're looking at a major foundation or a company, and you want to see who's on their board. Who do you know? And then the next most important thing is you need to have everything ready before you send an email asking them for a coffee date. So I happen to have one kind of sitting here, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is kind of the form that I use. All my homework is done before the email, but it's also done before I have that coffee. I want to know everything. So I'm going to send a first email. I'm going to give you an example. I have researched this foundation. I found out that the person I talked to is Connie. I know everything they give. It looks like my mission works with their mission. I'm going to give it a try. So I email the correct person, and that's also important. Sometimes a company will have on their website, if you would like a donation, please email, and it'll turn out that is someone's assistant or something. It's important you email the correct person. The last thing you want to do is email a business owner and he says, well, you didn't read my website. So you're going to make your email very short and sweet. Ask them either to meet you for coffee or offer to come to their office. Provide a short introduction on your ask. Hi, this is Connie. You and I may have met, blah, blah, blah. That is the link I'm talking about. My friend Todd mentioned you might like to hear about this project, or I see your mission is children and families. It's been a while since I've talked to you, Bob, and I wanted to tell you what I'm working on. I'm very passionate about this. Tell them you're only going to take 30 minutes of their time. Provide times you are free. If you simply send the email, hey, I'd like to get together, They probably will send you an email back that says, sure. Then you're going to send them another email with times. Just provide some times, get that over with. Then you're going to thank them for their work in the community. And hey, I look forward to meeting with you. So now you've set up that meeting. It's time to have it. You have the 30-minute meeting. Again, you have your form, you have everything all filled out. You know everything about this foundation or company. You know everything about this person you're meeting with. You walk in, you shake hands, you thank them for meeting with you. If you know them, you ask them something like, how's your golf game these days, or anything to make a connection. I'll give you an example. I met with a bank representative, and this person had gone to Georgia Tech for her master's, and she just was hired just as this was part of her job, was to give the funds away for the bank. I'd also found out from another friend of mine that, this kind of made this person a little upset. She felt this was beneath them because, she had a master's and all of this, and here she has to give money away. I went into the meeting and I said, hey, Brenda, so great to see you again. Hey, I see that you went to Georgia Tech for your master's. My son is going there as well. So, we were able to instantly connect, and you could see her shoulders drop, and she was kind of like, oh, this meeting might be kind of fun. So that's where I share a little bit about myself. Then I say, why this is so important to me. My children attend after school programs. I see, Brenda, I think that you have 2 children, and do your children attend after school programs? Oh, they do. And what school would that be? Get a connection going. Share just a little bit about the project. And then I like to just slide the case statement brochure that I have across the table, or an infograph, or something about what your ask is going to be like, and just give that to them so it's sitting there. After you've had a few discussions on the project, you ask if they have any questions. You can have a formal letter prepared if you want, with an ask amount or a naming opportunity if your research has told you that. And then you can just say, John, Brenda, I'm here today to ask you to be a part of this project, or I'd like you to make an investment in this project. And there's the amount. You thank them for the meeting. You hope they will consider making an investment in this community project. And then you just go ahead and move on, and you leave. What I like to do right away, and I tell you, I just had one of these meetings last week on Thursday, instantly on Friday, I sent a thank you. You would be surprised how valuable this is. So I like to send a personal one, but however, sometimes I do send an email. If it's multiple people, they have an assistant, whatever it is. So donors really want to feel appreciated, and they want to feel connected to your cause. Saying thanks, of course, within 48 hours of your coffee time really increases the chances of getting another coffee, another date, and probably moving them on to marriage, right? So this gesture, of course, it's a relationship booster. You're not going to ask for a gift. You're just going to simply say, thank you so much for taking time out of your day for meeting with me. It was great hearing about your children and the after-school program they attend. I hope we can meet again soon. Done. So how do you manage all of these funding relationships? Again, dating, marriage. So you might not get a donation that first coffee, of course, but you've got to keep dating, got to keep going. So a week after your coffee, send another email asking if they have any questions, if they have reviewed your brochure, if they reviewed your infographics, just do they have any questions? Nope, they send back, I don't have any questions, we're still considering, whatever. Make sure you also get them on your monthly or quarterly emails with the stories and pictures. Again, dating, sending them little tidbits, any newsletter, and then invite them to any special events. It's going to take a while. Think about your spouse, how long it took to marry them, possibly. It's a lot of dating, getting to know each other, relationships is what it's all about. And also reporting. I'm going to admit this is not my favorite part, but reporting and keeping track of everything is so important. You really never want to make a mistake with a donor. So you can either use a tool like Bloomerang or Razor's Edge or something like that to keep track of all your donor and your research and everything you have, or simply use an Excel spreadsheet with the name of your donor. This is all the research I did to them. This is the date I sent them an email. This is what they said back. This is the date we had a coffee. These are the notes that I heard them say. This is the date I sent them a thank you. So you have everything in one place. So this was rather quick. I wanted to just go through what dating and marriage looks like for raising funds for after-school programs. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to stop sharing now. Great, I can see everyone now. It's so much more fun. And I'm going to see if people have questions, things they want to talk about. Let me open this chat. Okay, that's how you did it. There you go. Thank you, Kristen. Are there any questions of me? Anything I can go over? Usually with this presentation, what I do at the end is we do some role playing. And so I have little pieces of paper that people draw, and on it you will pretend to be a banker or a wealthy woman that runs her family's foundation, or you'll be one of those. I like to include a few costumes. It's kind of fun. And then we role play what it'd be like to make an ask. Let's see. If you have questions, just blurt them out because there is a long line of you. Okay, the other reporting tracking system we use is called Bloomerang, Bloomerang. And it helps us with, keeping track of everything, our thank yous. But I mean, we're rather large. I mean, we have way over 9,000 donors. We're a little bigger, and it's kind of cost prohibitive, actually.
Connie, I have a question for maybe those out of school time programs that have lower staff numbers or, a lot of part-time staff. Do you have any tips for those programs that maybe don't have a development person or somebody dedicated to fundraising on how they can work to increase the donations to their STEM programming?
I do. And, we see this often. So I do in my volunteer work with a lot of very small nonprofits. And that's probably most of you. You're the executive director, you're the development officer, you're paying the paychecks, you're planning all of the activities. That's a lot all on your shoulders. I always suggest trying to use your board a little bit. Many of you have board members. When you get your board together, one of the things you want to look at is we have a metric that we go by. And so we try to get 3 to 4 people on our board that are well connected, that are connectors, that know people in the community. I would use a lot of those people, and I would train them, just like I showed through those slides, on how to make an ask. And it would be something that would, be required to be on the board. We always say when we get board members, we want them to give their time, their talents, or their treasures. Their time, right? Making asks, volunteering. Their treasures, of course, what are they good at? Are they able to train our board on certain things? Time, talent, and treasures. And, that, of course, that's their talent. Also, treasures I like to include is, do they know others? Who do they know? Who can they connect me with? So I would suggest using your board. When I have been board president before, I've done a lot of asks on my own. As long as you give them the tools they need, they can do it. Does that help, Kristen? Oh, kickoff events. Okay, I have to admit, I really love kickoff events. That's my favorite thing. So I can always visualize in my head what a kickoff event will look like. I'm going to give you an example of a small rural community in Nebraska that I worked with them on an early childhood program, and they were building a new facility, and what it looked like for their kickoff event. They had a woman in town that was famous for her pies. So we named it, Come Have a Piece of Pie and Coffee with Connie, something of that sort. People walked in the room, we had large renderings of the building on, little posts all over the room so people could see what the building was going to look like. If you're doing a STEM program, you might have pictures of the kids doing some of the programs. You might have a picture of a TMC lab. You might have different pictures so that when people enter, they're like, oh, I didn't know they did those things. So they'll walk around, they'll do all of that. They'll sit down. I usually either have the executive director or the board president tell why they're involved and why they want everyone in this room together, what the project is looking like, what it's going to cost, give them all the high level details. And then, if you are going in this kick-off event, maybe do some asks, great. At that point, you could hand out folders asking everyone in the room for a meaningful gift. If it is simply to create a buzz, you're still going to hand out something that they're going to tell their friends, their neighbors, their relatives. Something I didn't mention, kickoff events, who do you invite? Obviously, you invite all your donors, but you also invite all the businesses, anyone of influence in the community, school board members. I'm going to say you're going to have to get those school board members in there, city council members, all of the political offices, the Rotary, the Kiwanis, all of those groups, you're going to want to invite them. You can send evites, you can send invitations. Also, the important thing is you follow up. I can tell you, I get a lot of invitations. I've got a pile sitting here right now. A lot of times if they don't call me and say, hey, Connie, I think you got that invitation. What do you think of that event? Can we count on you attending? Most likely I might not attend. So you really got to follow up with a phone call as well. Does that help? Any other questions for tips for kickoff events? Okay, we did that one. What other questions might you have for me? I had told Kristen in the beginning that this was more of a 30-minute presentation, not an hour. From looking at you guys' schedule, it looks like you probably would appreciate a small bathroom break at some point before noon. I get that part. Anything else I could talk about?
I already told
Connie, I just have a quick question.
Okay, one of you go and then we'll figure it out.
I can let him wait. I'll let her go.
Pardon?
Great, Amber, you can go ahead.
Okay. My quick question is that so we are completely kind of revamping our aftercare. I'm in charge of it, so re-looking at our school time and just trying to figure out exactly how it started, I guess, on all of this, because it's all new. We're applying for, the 20th Century Grant and just trying to figure out how to build those partnerships and those relationships when you've never done it before, because it's always been hey, we're going to pay for them to come there, and just pretty much do it from the ground up is kind of where I'm at.
Good for you for doing this. It is not easy. So let me get a few clarifying questions. So you've decided you're going to start an after-school program in your community. You haven't really started it yet. You have a place where you're going to hold it, or it's in a school?
Yes. So we kind of, at the current, right now we have, it's an extended care. But it's literally just that, extended care. The parents pay a weekly fee, the kids come in and they get a snack and they just play. It's not anything like out of school time really should be. So we're going to take that existing model. So we kind of already have our place that we're using. I have a body of students that I can pull from, but being able to take that existing model and turn it into what out of school time should be. So having that STEM learning, having the extra tutoring and the extra help the kids need, but also being able to help those families that can't afford it, right. That need that help, but they just aren't able to pay a weekly fee because
Right.
that extra money is not in their budget.
Yep, we see that so much, don't we? So I would suggest first making your case statement brochure. You're just going to need to do that because eventually you're going to have to write grants. But for now, you need to collect all your thoughts into one item. And what I would do is get on Canva if you want and go through all of those steps that I listed. So you need to get some data on, we have this many students of poverty that cannot afford after school programming. We know that STEM programming increases brain levels of da, 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 da. There's all kinds of national statistics. I would also include, we know that using STEM programs in an after-school program increases workforce, and this is how it increases workforce. You need to have all of that information first, all of your data, and then from there, you'll have the stuff you need to make the asks. Because right now you're kind of like, well, I think this would be good. Okay. I know it's good, but is it good? So once you have that case statement brochure, I would go ahead and start making a list of everyone that you could make an ask. And I always say, make the easiest ones first. So I would then start one by one asking people, your sister that works in a bank, go to her, make an ask to her, and you're going to have to decide how much you want to ask. I always suggest doing it per student. If we have, for every student we have, it costs us $2,000 a year to have the top-notch, unbelievable after-school program. As you can see, Lauren has a free resource that she put up there with posters and brochures you can use for Canva. Thank you, Lauren.
Oh, awesome.
It is so easy. That Canva, I am just addicted to. It's just, oh my gosh, so much fun.
I love Canva.
I just love it. But I think that is what you're going to have to do, is you're going to have to start from ground up and start making some of these asks in that way. You could bring them all together for an event. Do you have a board?
Sort of. It's kind of, we're in a church building. We have, that's where the child care center is, that also does the extended care. We're kind of splitting off the extended care from the child care center. And there is a church board that meets once a month that kind of approves or denies building on and adding things. That's kind of where we're at. I'm looking at getting an advisory board up and running. Like I said, pretty much I'm coming into this blind. I don't want to say blind, but it's all new for me. I'm an educator. I have been the director of the child care center for the past 2 years, and they're wanting to split this up. I ran this camp and completely planned it. So this is kind of where my wheelhouse is, I guess.
Right.
But like I said, it's all new to me.
Then let's start small. So I see Kristen also said your state after school network has access to data and technical assistance, so that can help you get started as well. You might hit that one up first, but no matter what,
and I've become a member of.
Good. Okay. So if you do that first, I think that's good. You might start, once you have your case statement, by doing a presentation to that church board. This is why we're doing it. This is what it'll look like. You're going to have to start small. And maybe from there, you will find some volunteers that might help you to raise the funds.
Okay.
I hope that helps. It looks like we have some great resources.
It did.
Good. And you know what? It's okay. In the beginning, I made lots of mistakes. Just know that it's all about the kids, right? You're doing this for the kids, period. Keep that in the back of your mind.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about all the things that are going on, I'm like, right now I'm trying to do this and trying to find somebody to come into my role to take over like the infant through preschool. So I'm still the director of the child care center, and I'm going to go back into teaching next year. There's just a lot going on. So I'm just trying to kind of see where to kind of start my focus. So this really helps. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. You are going to do great. I have confidence in you. Okay,
Thank
I
you.
see some other questions here. How much time each week would you spend doing the fundraising piece? Of course, you guys are wearing many hats. I guess it's dependent on your budget. What I have every year is I make a dashboard. I know exactly that I need to raise X amount of dollars per year to keep the lights on, to pay the salaries, everything else. From there, then I'm able to decide how many asks a week I need to do, how much I need to raise per month. I try to break it down then. So let's give an example. Say we'll do it small. You need to raise, that your 21st century funds come in, you have all these others that are given funds, but you're going to have a gap of $12,000. What are you going to do for that $12,000? $1,000 a month that you've got to raise. So let's break it down, $1,000 a month. Do you think you can get 2 people to give you $500? So that's 2 asks a month. I break it down to very small increments in order to get it done. Or, you have 12,000 you need to raise. Is there 2 or 3 large donors, you can hit up? And that's only once a month. But as far as dating and marriage, if we're going to go to that and you're much bigger, it is quite a bit. So something I always like to look at is if I know that I continually need to date these people, but it takes about 2 weeks to get on their calendar. It's going to be a continual cycle for me. So I think what I'm going to answer that with, if it's just you not knowing your budget or anything else, that I would try to dedicate at least half a day a week to it. I think that would be good number if I'm thinking you're smaller like that. I hope that helped. What else? Okay, I'm trying to look into helping get robotics and more technology to my students. I'm not sure where to start. It looks like she sent you. So Kristen, can your after school network also help with that? Perfect.
Yeah, after school networks can, depending on what state you're in, they may either have access to state grant programs or universities, or also national partners. But also I'm going to put a link in the chat to some grant kind of dashboards. So After School Alliance has a really great compilation of grants that are available, and so does an organization out of California called Boost. So I'm going to put those in the chat box. That can be a place for some possible grants to start, but the after school networks can connect you with maybe more statewide or regional entities to help you get started.
Perfect. And since you guys are all in different states, I'm in Nebraska, so it's a little different. And Stacy, I see that you want a copy of the slides. So Kristen, is it best if I send that, or do you guys send those afterwards? How does that work?
You can send them, you can either put it in the chat if you want to share them now with everyone and they can download it, or you can share it with us and we can share it out in the email that goes to people after the event.
Oh, perfect. And I sent that to them, and so they have it. Stacy, just to make sure you get it, because it sounds like you are ready to go, I'm going to go ahead. I'll just email you personally and get those to you as quick as I can. Okay, let's see. I wanted to see, okay, also with your robotics and your technology question, and you're trying to raise money, that goes, of course, to those STEM businesses and trying to find a business that robotics would align with. Aviation is always a good one to go with, and everyone has aviation. So think about that. That's a good one to go with, but it sounds like Kristen has other areas. Any other questions? Looks like I've gotten through all of those. I don't see anyone else. Well, it looks like it is 11:24. I didn't give you as big a break as I thought I was giving you. If you do not have any further questions, Kristen, of course, has my slides. I sent them in the beginning. She can figure out a way to send those out later. Stacy, I'll send you yours as well. But if you have other questions, of course, always feel free to, I guess, Kristen, they can send things to you and you can send me questions. I know that later after I've attended something like this, I'm like, why didn't I ask this? So please feel free. I'd never mind anyone emailing me through my Nebraska Children email. So thank you. I'm glad you all enjoyed all of this.